Does this castle shatter? Let's find out. Hello Fanatics, I'm Dylan Phillips, and this is the Film Fanatic Review bringing you The Glass Castle, starring Brie Larson, Woody Harrelson, and Naomi Watts. First, we'll tell you what the movie is about and our initial thoughts. Then we'll move on to our spoiler-free likes and dislikes. We'll finish up with some spoiler-heavy thoughts on this film, and our final word. The Glass Castle follows the story of a young girl who comes of age in a dysfunctional nomad family. Overall, this is an alright film. I didn't read the book that this is based on, but I heard that a lot of great scenes were removed from the movie. For what I liked about this film, let's start off with the best part, the cast. The younger actresses, particularly Ella Anderson, who plays Jeanette, were outstanding in their performances. The fact that this movie had so many child actors that did so well at portraying what they were supposed to was a great feat in itself. Brie Larson also does great as the adult Jeanette, although she doesn't have as much screen time as the younger versions. But the best performance in this movie is the outstanding job by Woody Harrelson as Jeanette's father, Rex Wells. He shows an immense amount of range in this character that's definitely an award-worthy performance, and I'll explain this more in the spoiler section. Aside from the acting, this film had a few touching emotional moments that had people in the theater tearing up. And the themes in this film are a great dive into what a dysfunctional family faces. The duality of the father and how alcoholism affects a family was nicely explored in this movie, but the most prominent theme by far is the love between a father and his daughter. However, I wasn't a big fan of Naomi Watts' performance in this movie. I understand that this is a memoir, but the mom was more or less just a plot device, as the story focused more on the relationship between Jeanette and her father. The story comes across as a very dull, daytime, lifetime soap drama that really relies more on telling you what's going on rather than showing you visually. The present-day adult storyline with Brie Larson isn't that entertaining, and to be quite honest, the child flashbacks were the bulk of this story, and so it felt like the flash forwards to the present day were just forcing themselves onto us because of the inevitable conclusion that this story comes to. And the biggest problem I had with this film was its pacing and tone. The story drags so much between its time jumps and its slow dragging second act that I was constantly looking at my watch throughout the movie. And that plays into the tone of this film, which I thought was completely off. The music and emotional moments in this film are presented as uplifting and happy, but the reality is that this is a dark story. It's interesting because what should really happen is a slow decline from these uplifting, happy moments in their childhood to the inevitable realization that they're not living a very fairy tale lifestyle. The kids are naive at the beginning, but as they grow older, they mature and they learn that the situation that they're in is less than ideal. And that's where I'll end our spoiler-free thoughts on this film. If you want to hear our final word or rating of this film, pause now and click the link in the description, because now it's time for spoilers. First off, as I said, I have not read the book for this movie. However, one scene that I was told about that would have been very nice to see on screen was a scene towards the beginning of their childhood where the Walls family sneaks into the zoo and Jeanette goes and pets a cheetah. Now, they do reference this in the movie in the final scene where she's talking to her father, but they only talk about it, and I feel like this scene would have played into the fairy tale-esque childhood that they thought they were having, much like when she was broken out of the hospital by her family. That scene was an entertaining scene, and I felt like they should have had more of those, showing the happiness of this family as they moved from place to place. And this cheetah scene could have done that, but instead they kept it out and decided to show more of the present day with this slow dragging epiphany that Brie Larson's adult Jeanette was coming to. I love the themes of this movie because it helps develop a really flawed and raw Rex Wells. As he gets older, we see his optimism fade and his alcoholism on the rise, and that pertains potentially to the relationship he had with his mother. We learn through the story that she was a pervert and that he might have possibly been abused by her as a child, so that further adds a layer to his character that we didn't expect. He can go from an ambitious, charismatic, and caring father to a terrifying lost soul struggling with addiction. And on top of all that and everything he's done, you shouldn't be on Rex's side in this movie, but Woody Harrelson brings charm and charisma to this character, so you can't help but feel for him. And the best scenes to me were the hospital breakout, Sleeping Under the Stars, when Jeanette is being taught how to swim, and the final conversation between Jeanette and her father. So, with the thoughts heard, here's our final word. The Glass Castle is a slow-paced but fascinating dramedy that tackles the typical themes of a dysfunctional family. While the acting is phenomenal, the film lacks the proper tone and pacing needed for the story to be as impactful as it should be. This castle may not shatter, but the cracks certainly show. This film had a very good cast and a decent memoir at its core, but the dragging narrative and time jumps had me wondering how it could possibly have been only 5 minutes every time I checked my watch. So, I'm gonna give The Glass Castle a 7. Thanks everybody for watching our review. Are you planning on seeing The Glass Castle? Or if you've already seen it, do you have something to add? What did you think of how the story was done? Let us know in the comments below. I'm Dylan Phillips, and this has been the Film Fanatic Review. If you liked this video and you want to see more, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Check out our latest Worth the Watch video where we recap and review Season 1 of the Netflix original, Ozark. Don't forget to follow us on our social media. And until next time, Fanatics, keep it real.